So basically, you can't make this stuff up. Like another thing. Like I just posted that video, the last video about like possibly fame and stuff like that, and like right after, basically like an hour or two later, I see this one guy that I've been paying attention to on YouTube. His name is Justice, and he's like a Christian rapper and stuff. And he's like straight having a meltdown. Like he's like, it's bad. Like he needs prayer bad. Yeah, he's dealing with stuff similar to what I'm dealing with. He said that his like his baby mama or whatever, just like this whole crazy situation. There's witchcraft involved, and like narcissism, all of that stuff, and he's just like under like heavy attack, and he's just saying that like this started for him around when he got like 20,000 subscribers on YouTube, like the whole sort of like all these, the increase in attacks and stuff. And so there's a price for fame. There's also a price for beauty, or like good looks. So I think a lot of people are under the false impression that just because you are blessed with like good looks, or you're really talented, that's always good. It's like, it's kind of like a double-edged sword. So like, I'm trying to like give you some perspective. Like, I, for example, would have no trouble finding a woman to an extent, but the conditions would be the problem. Because like any woman would, well, not any woman, but like a lot of women would be like, oh, well, we'll just we'll sleep with you, or like say you have a lot of money, oh, well, we'll use that. And that's the thing, like there's a bunch of users in the world, and we have to be aware of that. And someone who is good looking, or has some position of power or something, they're more prone to being used. I'm seeing this like consistently. Like it's like right now I'm being told this by God. It's like, you see the song Weightless by All Time Low. It's like pointing out all the problems. Like, it's like, yeah, if you ever see the music video, you'll know what I'm talking about. The song Weightless by All Time Low. Yeah, it's, so like, I mean, I learned that you can't go on like dating profiles, basically dating apps. Like that is a disaster waiting to happen. There's no quality there. There's like, it's all, we're all just looking merely at your looks. We don't care about your character. And that's essentially what happens. Even on the Christian apps, it's like, I don't even know what's going on in those Christian apps, but it's like a different nightmare, but it's still a nightmare. And then I've only done that when I've strown like away from what, I don't even know if strown is a word, but when I've gone away from what God has told me, whenever that happens, disaster strikes, just like Jonah. So you have to follow what he's telling you, even if disaster strikes by doing that. And that's basically what this guy was like, saying. He's like, I don't understand. As soon as I'm doing God's will, I get attacked, like relentlessly. And he's like, he's saying things like, well, what kind of God would do that to someone who wants to serve him? And like that's one of the things that are hard to understand, but it definitely appears to be true. God makes it hard for those of us who follow him. He helps us through it, but I mean, think of how many Christians died for Jesus. This isn't an easy walk. And it's just not an easy walk. You might have moments of peace and stuff, like your years of peace, but suddenly something could happen, and real meets real, and that's how it's going to be going forward with this whole thing. As things get harder, the falling away, I think it's going to be partially, maybe largely, in fact, due to persecution. Like, we've never had problems for following you before. Why do we have problems now? You must not be real. That's what people are going to say and fall away, I think. Yeah. And so, like, I don't know. He was having a full-on meltdown. Like, he's a believer, but like what he was saying was, he's like, I don't even know if I believe any of this anymore. He was like, really, it was really not good. And I worry for him. But I know it's also possible for you to just like have a bad meltdown and then feel bad about it later. He's definitely having a meltdown. Yeah, he just made it a point. He's like, sometimes it's better just to have like a 9-to-5 job and to live low and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I can see why he's saying that, and I would agree with that. There's something peaceful about that. But what if God is calling you to something more? And I think God is just showing me, if this is what I want for you, are you willing to endure all that comes with it? And like, that's the tough thing. And the thing is, well, I had the thought, I was like, yeah, I can handle it, God, but then I got like a sense that something's wrong here. Like, no, I got this with you, God. I cannot do this on my own. Just like in my spirit, I knew that what I was saying was not true. I need Him in order to do that, but I believe it will happen. It's funny, the very second I post that video, all these things are pointing towards that. It's gonna, yeah, and as the more famous you get, the more under attack you would be for holding to the truth. So just think about it. On YouTube, you cannot say certain things, or your channel gets taken down. That's kind of how this world operates. And so, like, I don't even know how I would do the whole thing. Like, I'll have to think about that, because I am able to use God-given discernment and wisdom to where I can kind of portray the meaning maybe without being overtly blunt about it. But I also believe that it would be like Christian stuff. I don't know how I'm gonna do that, but I'm just like thinking right now, because you don't want to sell out, and there's so many ways you could sell out. He's just saying that there's all these girls trying to get with him and stuff, and use him and stuff, and take him down. He was even saying, I'll give my address, just come and kill me. Like, he's really going out like bad. And yeah, he's like, well, what do I have to do? Do I have to sin so I open a door so that Satan can come kill me? And it's just like, no, let's not go there, man. You're having a meltdown. Yeah, and that's the pressure of fame, I believe. And he's only got like 35,000 subscribers. Like, imagine if you blew up more than that. So I don't know if that would be something I personally would want. I like laying low. I really do. I like laying low. I like not being known. But if God has a plan for me to be more known, and I don't know the extent of that, maybe there would be like 4,000 subscribers, maybe it'd be more, or maybe it'd be less. I don't know. Known to some level. And I don't mean to come off like I'm having an ego trip or anything. I just had this like inner sense of calling and understanding, and I believe also with like the beauty thing and I've noticed that there's like girls at my work, and I can just tell. Like I prayed about it. I'm like, yeah, they're attracted to me. And like I was using cologne for a while, but then I realized, oh, I can't really just casually wear cologne because it just like it confuses and it causes people to be like drawn in the wrong way, in like an erotic way, and that's not what I'm going for because I'm not interested in any of them. So I was getting this twitching feeling. Like I said, I get this weird twitch when I know I'm doing something wrong, whether it's like going into a sin or like I'm heading into dangerous territory. I get this weird twitch in my head, and I know that it's not really like a physical twitch. It's really hard to explain. It's just like I get pulled away from something. Yeah, so I was convicted. Don't wear cologne. You know, when your wife comes, you can wear cologne, but don't wear it around girls who are attracted to you, especially. Yeah, and I can tell. I'm not. I try to play it off like I'm dumb, but I can tell. Yeah, it's not good. You can't go for what God doesn't design you to be with. It's not going to go well. I've learned my lessons the hard way. Yeah, like every time that like I would like fall into like a sin or like I'd mess up, it was like something really bad had to happen while I was doing it. Like I had to break off a cross, or I had to see, like the last time I watched a porn video, the guy had like a cross tattooed. I'm like, how's he doing this? How am I doing this? It was horrible. Everything is symbolic. God is very clearly calling me. I can't escape the signs. That's the thing. Like I think it wasn't like this before I was saved. There were like hints maybe, and divine protection for sure. But like I cannot get away from his calling. It's just like Jonah. Each time I've tried, a song will pop up and it'll be like, nope, you're going the wrong way. Remember what I've always told you. That sort of thing. And so I know that I have to follow through with his plan, regardless of how crazy I appear, how long that takes, you know, with the music thing and everything else, how long everything takes, the pain, the suffering, the lies, the manipulation, the spiritual attacks, all of this stuff. And like I'm not even like, imagine if things blow up, like I'm gonna really need help. And I had to ask like Christian friends for extra prayer and stuff, and yeah, and I felt things too, and like I felt like that they were working. Like I get that sense that their prayers were working the instant they were praying. Yeah, like the demons were in pain and stuff. I could tell. I could sense that. Yeah, and I'm just like, even at night, I'm sleeping and I'll wake up from a dream. And I'll see like a shadow, like you know how when you're like half awake and stuff out of sleep, and you see something. Like I have to call out to Jesus when that happens, and it goes away. But like these attacks are constant, and like in my sleep, the attacks are pretty consistent. I can pray for protection before, and God still allows things to come through. And I think sometimes it's just to teach me a lesson. Sometimes it's just for me to understand that this is a constant spiritual war. There is no break, even in sleep. Yeah, I deal with that pretty much every night. Like, I mean, along with the dreams that are like sort of what I would say like divine signs and stuff, there's also all the attacks. I don't mention all the attacks, but there's a lot. It's weird stuff. Like, it gets dark. Some of it's pretty dark. Yeah. And if I'm not smart enough to call out to Jesus fast, he's not going to rescue me. That's what I'm learning. Like, it's like, okay, well, you can call out to me the second that you fall into temptation and I'll rescue you. Or you can follow the temptation for a bit, call out to me, and I won't answer. That's what I'm learning. And it's like, wow. That's him checking your heart. And that's how it is. You know, he checks your heart. Like, are you going to play games with me? Or are you going to do what you know is right the second that you know it's right? And, you know, that'll help with anyone who's trying to quit porn or anything like that too. Like, are you going to benefit from going to a beach and like looking at women, or going to the gym and looking at women thinking, oh, it's not so bad? No, they're giving up protection by doing that. Don't do that. Or on Facebook, there's like, because we know the enemy uses stuff to just give like provocative pictures and stuff wherever you are, so you have to be smart. Yeah, like, sometimes it's not bad to not be famous or to not have good looks, because you have less temptation. You know, I would say you probably have less temptation, less. I don't know. That's just what I believe is true. And you know, as you get older, maybe your identity doesn't change as much as someone who was like always known for their looks, but then as they get older, they gain weight, they wrinkle, whatever it is, they start to really have a meltdown, that sort of thing. Like, I mean, you see this in the famous people, even like Taylor Lautner, you know, the guy from Twilight, the werewolf guy. He's saying like people are bullying him because he doesn't have a six-pack anymore, and he looks fine, but people are bullying him because of that. And he's like, you know, I'm happy. I found the woman I want to be with. She is fine with it, and I'm happy. You know, and it's like people. I don't know, like, fame has a lot of costs. Price of fame, price of good looks, price of just all these things. We need to be aware of that. If God has you in a place where he wants to keep you kind of in a lower position, be okay with that. I'm okay with that. I'm happy with that. But if he wants to raise you up, then you're going to have to deal with everything that comes as a result of that. Yeah. That's just what I'm learning. Yeah, God bless you all.